Good morning, this is Grant Wiley from Worthington Publishing, and I'm going to do a quick playthrough on the new game I'm working on, TARAWA 1943. I've been playtesting it for a while now, got in about 50 playtests, feel pretty good with the system. Still tweaking some of the cards and just minor things on the mechanics. But this game portrays the Battle of TARAWA in 1943 between the U.S. Marine Corps 2nd Division and the Japanese Defense Forces on Tarawa Island, or Tarawa Atoll, better, it's Badia Island. The game is card driven. It is solitaire for one player, although at some point I may try and figure out how to do two player. But the game specifically is one player. How it works is the Marine Corps receives a deck of 30 cards. The Japanese bot receives a deck of 30 cards. The bot cards drive the Japanese player. The game not complexity, but toughness level can be raised or lowered by adding in Japanese cards. So currently, for a standard game, I have the deck set at 24 cards. So you're going to shuffle the Japanese cards, all 30 cards together. You're going to deal off the top 6, which I've already done here. Now that leaves you 24 cards to play, so there's going to be 24 Japanese turns in the game. They give specific things for the Japanese AI to do. The Marine cards are different. These are assets that the Marine player can throw in. One card during his turn, one card during the Japanese turn. That adds things like naval gunfire, air support. This one's air support. Colonel Shoup leads the way. He was a great Marine commander really, once he got ashore, he ended up winning the Congressional Medal of Honor, but he really took control of the situation on the island in a chaotic situation and led him ashore. But let me walk through the basic mechanics here. You've got the 2nd Marine Division, which was broken up into the 2nd Marine Regiment, the 6th Marine Regiment, and the 8th Marine Regiment. One of the regiments from the 6th Marine, one of the battalions from the 6th Marine had been sent off to an adjacent island to deal with the situation over there, prevent forces from here swimming over and things like that. If you've played Freeman's Farm, you know how Maurice Suckling's cohesion system worked in that. As your battalions are activated, they lower in cohesion. As they take combat losses, they lower in cohesion. Once they reach 5, you begin rolling for them. Now in Maurice's game, if the Marine cohesion was at a 5 and you rolled a 6, that unit was eliminated. In this, they are not eliminated until their last marker is removed. Each battalion has 3 markers. This is the 1st Battalion, 8th Regiment, and there's 3 markers there. They're in the 2nd wave back here off the beaches. I have the 1st Battalion, 2nd Regiment, 2nd Battalion, 2nd Regiment, and 3rd Battalion, 2nd Regiment. Each of them are 3 markers. Each Japanese position is 3 markers. Now how it is set up is the game is driven by priority. The Japanese defenses originally were faced to the south. That was the ocean side of the island. This side was the lagoon side, and off here was a reef that, based on some sorry intelligence the Marines got, they thought they could drive their amphibs right up onto the beach, no problem. Well, this island had an unusual tide, and the tide didn't rise or lower. So the amphibs couldn't get across. A lot of the Marines had to wade ashore, and in that, you're moving much slower in water than you are on land, so they were getting shot up pretty bad. In 76 hours of fighting on this island, there were almost 6,500 Japanese and Marine killed, wounded. They weren't captured, other than 17 Japanese, because the Japanese just didn't surrender. But each position has a name. This is Red Beach 1, and a numerical code 1. This is the highest priority position on this island. The commander, Japanese commander, Commander Shibasaki, wanted to kill the Marines on the beach as opposed to Guadalcanal, where they let them come ashore and fought them inland. He thought the best idea was to kill them on the beach. So the beaches here are the priorities. And you'll see as the game goes along that attacks occur according to priority. So if the Marines hold position 1 and 2, and the card calls for a Japanese Banzai attack on using attack priority, the attack would occur first at 1, then at 2, then at 3, so on. So there's 9 island positions, each with 3 areas. My playtest board doesn't have a third here, but I have a third Japanese marker. The goal in the game is to get ashore and take the island quicker than the Marines would have done in real life. This was the first true island into the island hopping strategy, and the public was honestly appalled at the number of casualties the Marines suffered here. If it had been much worse, the U.S. could have abandoned or changed the island hopping strategy. Don't know whether that would have been better or worse. As you look at examples like Peleliu, where the Marines attacked and then lost a third of the 1st Marine Division and never ended up using the island. So why the hell did we attack there? But anyway, so I'm going to start the game, just walk you through it real quick. So I get 3 Marine cards to start the game from my 24, and again I can play 1 during my turn and 1 during the Japanese turn. The first turn of the game, well, and let me walk you through this. The first turn of the game is a Japanese landing phase. So they get, typically in a fire attack, a Japanese unit attacking a Marine division or a Marine battalion will roll 3 dice for a fire attack. Banzai attacks are 5 dice. So they would roll 5 dice if the card called for a Banzai attack. But for the naval landing, they roll 4 dice. Now, on the chart here, there's separate for Banzai attack, Japanese fire attack, and Marine attack. It's easier for the Japanese to drive the Marines down than vice versa. So we're going to start here, and the first wave is 1 to the offshore of beach 1. I'm going to roll the Japanese fire attack. Oh, geez. I rolled 2 6s, a 3, and a 1. And a 3 is a reroll, and a 4 is a discard. So what happens is here, they ignore 1s. 1s are hits in fire attack, or double 1s eliminate a Japanese marker from that position. A single 6-0 eliminates 1 marker from the U.S. Marine Corps battalion being attacked. So effectively, from the 3-2, I'm removing 2 markers right off the bat. They got hit hard coming in on the beach. Now, each of these positions are landing positions. Historically, the Marines didn't land here. The Japanese thought they were, and they set up most of their defenses this way, but when the Marines struggled getting ashore here, it gave the Japanese time to move across and defend the island. You've got 2 additional landing areas down here. When the Marines took Beachhead 1, Major Ryan, who was one of the heroes of the battle, gathered together the survivors, a couple tanks, and cleared this beach and allowed reinforcements to come in. You have 2 extra battalions over here, the 1-6 and 3-6, that eventually you can add in over here, or if you want, alternatively, as a 3rd wave through here. But let me go on with my attack. And there are cards that can help the Marines not take losses, but I don't have any. So we're going to do the 4 dice against the 2-2. And again, I rolled 2 6s, which would be 2 hits. However, the dice 2 is a Marine advantage. The 2 allows you to ignore 1 of the 6s. So I've got a 6. So I'm going to lose 1 marker here. And then we roll for the 1st Battalion, 2nd Division here. And I rolled 2 3s, a 2 and a 4. Re-rolled the 3, re-rolled the 3, and a 5. So what a single 5 does is it reduces the Marine cohesion, and I screwed up because the 4s I rolled here and the 4 I rolled here are not discards. You reduce the cohesion of these battalions. So the 3-2 is reduced from a 13 to a 12. The 2-2's reduced from a 13 to a 12. The 2-2's against the 1-2 are ignored. And now we do the 5 and 4, and those both reduce this unit's cohesion. So again, what happens is when their cohesion gets reduced to a 5, you start rolling each time. So if it's reduced to a 5, I roll. If it's a 3, everything's fine. If I roll higher than his cohesion, what would happen is the battalion is exhausted and he's flipped over until you take time to recuperate and regather some cohesion. So that's a big difference in this and Freeman's Farm, is you can regain cohesion. Your piece isn't eliminated, your battalion isn't eliminated until the last marker's removed, not cohesion. Cohesion doesn't cause the loss of a unit. Now what's bad is if you're spending time regathering, recuperating, the game's going on. And once the cards run out, if you haven't taken all the island positions, it's a Japanese victory. They've drugged this out. They're going to kill or eliminate more U.S. Marines than occurred historically. So that's the initial Japanese go. Let's do a quick U.S. go. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an attack with the Marines. And we're going to take the 1-2, and they're going to attack here into Red Beach 3. Marines roll 5 dice because they're Marines. And I'm just going to roll these and we'll go over the results. Okay, this is not a good result. I rolled 2 4s. For the Marine player, 4s are out. You don't get to re-roll them, unlike in Freeman's Farm and Chancellorsville. 2 1s is, I'd have to remove a Marine marker from here. You're hit. And the 2 is a cohesion loss if I had double 2s. So instead, and I should have done this before, to attack I had to reduce my cohesion 1. I'm going to re-roll these dice, which represents the Marines pushing their attack. So I'm going to re-roll these 3 dice. I can't re-roll the 4s because they're out. Okay, this is a little bit better. A 6, a 1, and a 3. The 6 is a hit on me. The 1's a hit on me. Double 6s are a hit on the Japanese forces. I'm going to re-roll the 3 because the 3 is automatic re-roll. I rolled a 6. So that's the double 6. I get to remove a Japanese marker permanently from the game. So that's the Marine go. I could have done, I should have added naval support. That would have added 2 additional dice, or I could have done air support and added 1 dice. But I didn't. I'd kind of forgotten. I'm not going to go back because I want to do the Japanese turn. The Japanese turn is simply flip a card. Infiltration, move a Japanese marker from the lowest priority Japanese control position into the highest priority U.S. Marine control position that has less than the maximum numbers. And then, let me explain that. I'm going to disturb the board here and go back and play later, but I want to show. If the Marines had taken Red Beach 3 and had lost a marker, then I'd have moved 2 Marines into this. The infiltration calls for a Japanese marker to move from the lowest priority Japanese position, which is all the way down here at East Beach 2, into the Marine position. This Marine, that locks this Marine battalion. So the only thing this battalion could do at that point, they couldn't attack an adjacent position. They would have to attack this single piece that has infiltrated their position. Without going into more detail. So that's the catch with the infiltration card. It's a pretty cool card. But as I don't have any position that has been occupied by the Marines, I don't play that card. That card's basically a break for the Marines. It doesn't call for any other fire attacks. So now we go back to the Marine attack. I'm going to push the 1st Battalion a little further, drop them down to an 8, and I'm going to roll their 5 dice. We're trying to get on the beach. Okay, I rolled 2 5s, a 4, and 2 3s. So I'm going to keep the 2 5s because if I can get a double, well, the 2 5s are a hit. So I'll remove 1 block. I'm not going to re-roll those. The 4's removed. It can't be re-rolled. I re-rolled the 2 3s. Okay, I just got extremely lucky. 2 6s, 2 5s. I removed this Japanese unit. That position can now be moved up into, and my second wave can follow into the position. So luckily, and it's rare I've gotten this lucky. Normally my rolls suck. I've got good cohesion left, and this Marine battalion's ashore. Now we go to the Japanese turn one more time, and Banzai. U.S. attack priority if the U.S. Marine player controls 2 or less island positions and roll 5 dice in Banzai attack at 2 Marine occupied positions. Well, currently I only control 1. And to aid the Japanese, the attack always comes from the lowest priority position. So what happens here is I wouldn't attack from 2 to beachhead 3. I wouldn't attack from 4 to beachhead 3 because those are higher priority. 2, 3, 4. I'd come from down here at position 8 to attack position 3. So it helps the Japanese. And we've got all 5 dice. There are cards that take away Japanese dice. If their commander gets killed, they lose some coordination and their Banzai attack dice are not rolled. But here we go. 2 2s. 3 2s. Wow, I am just good luck dice today. 2 3s. Actually, on Banzai attack, you re-roll the die immediately. So 2s and 3s, I re-roll this whole thing. And this ain't good. So, single 1 on Banzai is I eliminate 1 piece from that position. Single 6 is I remove 1 battalion marker. So the Banzai attacks hit a little harder than the fire attacks. Let's see, what else? 4, I reduce the Marine cohesion by 1, so he takes a hit on cohesion and the marker. The Japanese player, the AI, takes a hit down here. If there had been another Marine occupied position, say I had Red Beach 3, then the Japanese also would have Banzai'd that. But because I have less than 2, the attack occurs there. I need to swap up. So for the Marines' next turn, I'm going to do a move action. And what this allows me to do is pass a wave through. So the 1-8 is going to advance, and that causes a reduction in cohesion. And then the 1-2 rotates out. I don't want to lose a whole battalion if I can help it. So I got the 1-8 up here. It doesn't, the swap of positions doesn't cause a loss and reduction. And this reduction in cohesion for the 1st battalion, it does in the 1st Battalion, 8th Regiment. Man, I'm going a little quick here, guys. Sorry. So that's that whole turn. So I've lost a turn now to the Japanese player. And again, for him, he's playing for time and killing Marines. He wants this to drag out because it looks bad in the press back in America. So now we go to the Japanese next turn. And this calls for a fire attack. Launch a fire attack against the 2 highest priority U.S. Marine occupied positions. Now sometimes it'll call for attacks only on the island, but in this one it's the 2 highest priority, which would be the poor Marines still out here in the water. We'll roll that one first. That's position 1. Fire attack, roll 3 dice. We roll a 5, 2, and 1. The 2 and 1 have no real effect. The 5 calls for a loss of cohesion on the 3rd Battalion. He goes down. Now we're attacking the 1-8. That was the first